Welcome back to the Thought Balloons podcast. I am your host, Jeff Folsham. With me today is a good friend of mine, Awesome Age, uh, an artist, and all around interesting person. Welcome to the show, Age.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
So, as I say at the start of every episode, let's begin at the beginning. I know you are interested in art and have been for a long time. What is your history with such things? How did you get into art, and what was that like for you?
Well, always, always with the crayons as a kid. Way back in the day with the crayons. I knew from that. No, the when I was a kid, I come from a big family. I've got 5 siblings, so all the toys and the whatnot were a little spread thin, and
Mhm.
I just had a lot of ease with just making my own fun by drawing and doodling and um, making little scenes. Like if there was like toys that other kids could have, like Barbies or My Little Ponies or things like that, and I wasn't privileged enough at that time to be able to get one. Well, I would draw it, and then now I have one. And it just became just something that was simple and easy enough to do. With a lot of kids around the house, it would always be like, you can ask my mom, it would always be fucking chaos.
Right.
And to have like the ability to have something quiet to sneak away to do and get lost in, it's just freaking awesome. It's
Where
kind of
are you in the age bracket of your family? Oldest,
I
youngest, somewhere in the middle?
I am the second middle. I am number four.
Number four of
Four of six.
4 of 6. So yeah, with a family that big, it's always interesting to me. It seems like the that only children get a lot of time to explore their own interests and kind of become a person independent of everybody else around them. Um, Kids like me who have like just a ridiculous age gap between themselves and their few number of siblings kind of
Hmm.
have that same thing. And then kids who grow up in really big families where just there isn't enough attention to go around get the sort of same freedom to become their own weird selves. Um, so it sounds like, for you had a lot of sort of similar experience to me where it's just like, I spent many days at my dad's office just drawing as a kid because, that's just no one else around to do anything with.
Yeah.
Or the people who were around didn't really care to like do things with me.
Yeah, like same. They just didn't have the same interest level in X, Y, and Z, or like for with my family, all my older siblings, almost like a clique. We had the older
Mhm.
three and then the younger three. Um, the older the older three were a little bit more off to do things. Like they were the age bracket where my parents could afford to put them through scouts or girl guides or brownies or whatever it was.
Right.
Um, so they had the extracurricular avenues to branch out, make friends, and do that kind of thing. When the younger three of us started getting to that age bracket where it was making friends and stuff, my younger brother, for the younger three, it's myself, my little brother, and then my little sister. My younger brother has disabilities, so there was a
Mhm.
lot of more so as opposed to you can go out and make friends. It was more so you need to go and watch out for him because kids are cruel. Uh, he
Right.
he always suffered a lot of bullying and whatnot. So it was a lot of the f- the myself and my younger sister keeping an eye out and making sure he was being treated appropriately, and then if not, opening up some whoop ass.
So, growing up, spending time doing art, um, maybe not having the the freedom to make friends and stuff since you're looking after your little brother.
Mhm.
Do you channel a lot of that into your art these days? I know like some people because I guess I should back up. Um you do a lot of paintings and
Yep.
things along those lines, like singular illustrations and I talked about in the first podcast of how that is not a realm of anything that I understand. I
Mhm.
need like 120 panels of a comic book to like kind of tell the get across the messages that I want to tell in my own art.
Mhm.
And there was a like when I was in school and stuff, there was a lot of artists and painters, sculptors who were very, very talented and skilled in like getting across what they wanted to say in just a single um image. And some of them were channeling issues, or not, maybe that's a bad word to say, but like for them, like personal
Mhm.
issues into their art.
Right.
Um, I don't know if you feel like any like frustration with like, the lot in life of having to like care for like a younger sibling in ways that you may have had to. But do you see those themes like popping up in your artwork? Do you see yourself working through any of that stuff with the paintings that you do?
Sometimes there are times where um they almost serve like a almost a therapeutic purpose, like you're painting out your emotions kind of thing.
Mhm.
That'll happen with some pieces here and there. I honestly haven't really, as far as painting goes, done that in some time. There's a pile of incomplete paintings or works in progress over the many years. Um, there's one, actually no, I see two that were paintings of that nature. Um, but I don't do that as much as I probably should. I got away from painting for a little bit. Yay, blocks. Um, and kind of just got like all this lockdown stuff was just kind of this is the perfect time to really revisit revisit all this because like why not? And I've been able to make some progress on several fucking pieces. But sometimes it's not always that it's an emotional or there's an emotional leakage, if you will, ladies, to between the artwork and my state. But in the past, that was a big thing that got me into moving to acrylics. I did a project in my last year in high school in my art class. I of the stages of grieving,
Hmm.
and it I don't know why I chose acrylics for this one piece, but just something about the way working with it through different stages of it drying and whatnot, you'd be able to create a different emotion with your brush stroke with the
Right.
thickness of the paint, and that's kind of what really got me hooked on going to acrylics. Um,
Interesting.
but as far as like emotions with like having to watch out for my brother, that was kind of a natural that I was raised to do that. There was never any feelings towards that other than this is just what I do.
Mhm. Like, do you look back on that in in your adult life? Because there are things like I have buried deep within myself. Um, like my dad was talking to me about like possible abandonment issues because I idolized my grandfather and he was taken from me from us in a car accident, right? Just very
Hmm.
sudden kind of thing. And my dad was like talking the other day about how he thinks like I neglect to make really deep connections to people um because of that trauma, and these are
Hmm.
things like where you can only kind of conceptualize them with hindsight of many
Oh
years
yeah.
and things. So you grow up, this is just like, this is my life, this is how it is. Do you look back on it now with any like different viewpoint?
I'm not sure if I do. Like with at least not with anything with my brother. With other things, like when I was in high school, my best friend passed away. That more than anything, yeah, that's one of the ones I look back on the most, and that creates a difference of perspective of going through a very heavy emotion
Hmm.
when you don't understand how to even digest a heavy emotion. Um, I don't know if I'm wording myself appropriately or the way I really mean to, but
No, I think that makes digest is a good word. You
yeah.
need to break it. You need to break
Awesome.
these things down because there's like lots of complexity to those sorts of moments in our lives.
Mhm. But that experience more so than anything else was where, yes. Right, my brain's doing its thing.
So I know this is like an audio podcast, but it does go up on YouTube, and maybe I can get to get you to take a picture of this. But um, like you talk about something like your friend passing away,
Mhm.
grandfather's dying and stuff. A lot of artists channel a bunch of pain into
Yes.
their artwork. I feel like from an outsider's perspective, from someone who's viewed certain pieces like Tina,
Mhm.
um, and maybe if on YouTube, maybe there will be a picture of Tina on the screen right now, but maybe there won't be. Who knows?
Probably will.
Um, but that is a painting where you know there's so much going on, especially like the if they're still there. I guess I know you change things in
A
it a
lot.
lot, like the different like the holes and stuff
Yep.
in the bottom left hand corner, like in her shoulder area. I don't know, it seems to me like there is a little bit of um pain that you're working through with that piece in particular.
Yes. That's one of the pieces, and the has an emotional tie to it. That one's got that one kind of has been like in the last couple years. I've been getting more serious about taking myself seriously with mental health. Um, and a lot of this painting started out significantly different. It is anything but the same as where it started. Um, and it's funny because I honestly I have a friend that can't stop calling it a self-portrait, and I'm always like, it's not a self-portrait, but it's almost in a sense turning into one.
Hmm.
Um, but that came through with a lot of me trying to figure out how to live with the way my brain does things these days.
Hmm.
And that's like a lot of in sentence forgetfulness, fog, almost like dyslexia memory. Things get
Right.
backwards. Um, and these are just at times. This is just when I'm having an episode of whatever's going on to cause that.
Hmm.
But yeah, this has been working through the frustrations of kind of self guiding through the woods of brain fog.
I can think, um, I would say that it is a self portrait. Self
Mhm.
portraits don't have to be a photographic representation of who you are. You
Correct. Yeah.
there may be some similarities, both female figures, you and Tina, female figures, the hair, the dreadlocks, right? But
Mhm.
like, even if there's not much facial similarity, I think
Yep.
what you just said, working through various things that you're feeling and experiencing, I think it very much makes that a
Hmm.
self portrait. Yeah.
I have to agree, and it's funny because for like a whole year, and this is before I met you.
Hmm.
My friend would just be like, how's the self-portrait coming? It's not a self-portrait. How's it coming? It's the self-portrait. How I love it. I love it. Can you send me an update? It's not a self-portrait. And it's like, no, he's right. He hit the nail on the head. That's pretty funny is when people see something coming out of something you're working on before you do even. Uh, it's
Yeah.
it's uh, it's fucking cool.
And see, I think those are some experiences as an artist that I don't get, because I don't do paintings. I don't like, I know how, right? Like when I was in
Hmm.
school and I got taught, like I can make an acrylic painting or oil or whatever, but like it's not what I do, right? Like
Right.
I like with comics, it's very just this is the story that I'm telling, and like that's it, right?
Right.
I think there's a lot less subjective inference, you know, that the audience gets to take when you are doing a medium like a comic versus something like the like a painting or a sculpture.
Hmm.
I I don't know if I've mentioned this story on the podcast before, but like one of my friends from school is that's exactly what she does. Is like very subjective, personal things. In fact, like she had a lot of trauma in her life.
Hmm.
Perhaps one day I'll get her on the podcast and we can talk about that stuff. But she had been doing a series, and there was a lot of childhood, but dark childhood
Hmm.
imagery and things. And she had tried to go and get this at a show at a hotel. And the art director of the gallery at the hotel was just like, "Oh yeah, come on, and put your stuff up," and like yada yada yada. Didn't screen the paintings at all.
Oh no.
She set up her show and went and was going there like the day before or even like the afternoon of the opening to like just make sure everything was in order and like all that kind of stuff. And they had put garbage bags, black lawn and leaf garbage bags over some of the paintings and statues. um
Wow.
like one of the statues like that she made like was one that like I don't like I pride myself on being a pretty jaded person who can like see a lot of like really borderline traumatizing stuff and not be very affected by it just because I've seen a lot of shit in my life. But
Hmm.
like she made this one statue of a very full figured woman, very ample bosom and all this stuff, but then gave it that sort of baby doll head. and, and it was like so it's like a very I don't even know what the hell the statue is supposed to mean, if it has a meaning or whatever.
Hmm.
But it's also got this cracked porcelain look to it. um and like it made me feel uncomfortable, which I know was part of her goal. But
Hmm.
like that was one of the things that had like a bag over it, and she just took the show. She like took everything off the wall. It was like, I'm not gonna have like my art censored like this,
No,
you know.
absolutely not.
But yeah, I feel like being able to kind of like I work through like some personal shit in my own art, like in different ways, but like the
Hmm.
subjective nature of like people, like the audience being able to like tell something about you maybe before you know about it is
Hmm.
at least something that I haven't experienced yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll write a story or do a comic about a certain subject that is cathartic or about my life in some way that I don't realize until someone points it out to me. But I definitely think that that is something more unique to like the kinds of like paintings that you do and other friends of mine are more skilled at than I am.
I don't know if it's more skilled. I wouldn't go there. It's different art, it's just a different medium. And also it's different subject matter.
I think there is an amount of skill that goes into it. Like to compose an interesting looking single image that has movement within it and captivates an audience, is definitely a skill, and I don't connect to that in my own life.
Okay.
um but I've mentioned school and stuff.
Hmm.
um so and we've talked about how you kind of like got started with art. When you like really started like progressing and stuff, was there schooling involved, or you all self-taught? How did all of that, like, what was the progression like?
That was my education does not go beyond high school. Um, I I had a couple years of actually not a couple years all through high school. I took art classes, but that's where it ended. I've still yet to. I'm not going to say never. I've yet to make it to a college or university or anything like that. Um, but a lot of it was I just I really took to it. Like it was one of those things where I was able to do it for the most part. It took a little bit of coaxing to be able to get into the art classes for in the first place.
Hmm.
Um, but it was something that just I did very well with, and I didn't feel embarrassed doing. I have dyslexia, so a lot of things with math and English, I invert letters and I spell
Hmm.
words backwards, which is really, really annoying when you spell a word right, but you spell it backwards on a test, so you get it wrong.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But
Jesus.
yeah, it's an is what it is. But I was never diagnosed. They just um, chalked it up
Hmm.
to an eye problem, and
Hmm.
I don't know why they didn't think to have me tested for any learning disabilities. But that's also one of the things that um, having a brother that's just a year younger than you with special needs um, that my parents had to take care of. They didn't have time to really sit with me and pay attention to what was going on
Right.
with every detail um, of what was happening with me. They just saw a hyper kid that wanted to play all the time and climb trees and assumed that I was just lazy when it came to book work. Or when they realized, like third grade, they realized, oh wait, she has a lazy eye. Maybe it's that.
Mhm.
No, no, it's not lazy eye. I spell things wrong. I do things backwards sometimes. Um,
Yeah, I know my sister has like issues with ADHD, and
mhm,
I don't know how long that went undiagnosed. I know that she was on like Ritalin and stuff like when she was later in high school. But those are
mhm.
just like when my memories are like start forming, right? Because she's 10 years older than I am. So,
Right.
by the time I was 8, and like I can start remembering like my own memories, like she's
Mhm.
a senior in high school and stuff. But like
Yeah.
it's
And
interesting, we were lucky. Like my dad's a doctor, so I'm sure that she got tested earlier on. But like, man, there's so many stories that I hear from people of like, yeah, I had this issue and I went undiagnosed until I was an adult. And you think like the fucking pressure that is on a parent who is not knowledgeable about those things,
yeah.
like I can see where someone who has no idea what the fuck is going on, like mentally for like their kid, they're like, oh, she's got a lazy eye. Yeah, it's probably that, right? If
Yeah.
you're not like knowledgeable about like the other stuff. And I wonder how many issues like that go undiagnosed because the parents have to be the ones that consider it a problem, right? And like
Yeah.
have to be like, oh, maybe we'll go get this kind of test or that kind of test to really figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's like lazy eye is something that they used to um be like the quickest go to, because that's an easier fix, or not necessarily lazy eye, but eyesight issues were one of those things that they figured we'll just move the student to the front of the class and get them glasses, and problem solved. Problem staying solved. Rangers lead the way. It became there. It was also things like attention deficit disorder um, was not being widely diagnosed either.
Hmm.
I got diagnosed with that last year actually, and well, gee, I wonder if that had anything to do with
Right?
it.
Yeah.
um, so it was, it's also, this is also transpiring in the 80s. So it's a little bit more in the beginning of them being openly or more doing
Yeah.
more diagnoses for attention deficit and whatnot. Like my little brother was diagnosed and he was on the Paxil Ritalin gambit,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
or battery rather, not gambit. Um, and
Yeah, I believe that's what my
yeah.
sister was on too.
Yeah, that was the style back then.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it like getting diagnosed later in life?
Kind of relieving, but at the same time, you kind of do that. You fucking knew it. um, it's relieving as all hell to know that you're not just missing like you're not just stupid, or like you would assume, or you just don't like that doesn't necessarily um I don't know really how to describe the feeling of relief there, because it was just like my focus issues are something that I now know that I can control.
Right.
And I now know a better pathway to control it, and what I'm actively doing in life now that's been making it worse. So it's really nice to be able to like kind of like unlocking a new ability.
Right.
Awareness. Yeah.
Well, someone I want to get on the show in the future is, well, two people, but definitely like one of the two people, Skagers of the Geek Punks. He has told stories about him getting diagnosed later in life, and it's just
Mhm.
this big like, oh, kind of moment of like,
Y- y-
that's what's been going on.
Yeah. Like, and mine's not severe, so it's kind of one of those things where it's because I never got diagnosed. I've always lived with it, and I've always managed through it fairly well. Um, but I have other disorders that will make it worse at times,
Right.
especially time of the month. It gets
Mm,
really weird then. Um, but it's also like it's neat because like as a woman, you wonder if your cycle's just out of whack and whatnot, or if oh this is just normal. This is what normally happens that time of month. I can't focus on anything, and then my brain is also garbage. This is normal. Everyone goes through that, and you wouldn't really think to ask because, as far as you know, that's normal.
right.
So yeah, I get that for especially with someone who has big impacts from attention deficit hyperactivity disorders. Um, that's like a superpower to know. It's got to be like a big superpower, because it's just like ha ha ha. Now I'm
Yeah.
indestructible.
Yeah, and that's something like, I don't think that I have ADHD, at least not to any severe extent, but this definitely that sort of like, oh, you're talking about like everybody, right? Because, people, we can only perceive the world through our own windows, right? Our,
Hmm.
our own perception. And I feel like for a lot of people, it's one of two things. Either you're a psychopath and you don't understand that other people have their own set of experiences,
I feel
or
called out.
um because I mean that's one of the things about like sociopathy the psychopathy is like you fit like you just do not see other people as being separate entities, right?
Hmm.
Um you just either like that to some degree, or you do understand that people have their own like thoughts and like stuff, but people don't stop to think about like that they would be any fundamentally any different than your own, right?
Right.
And for like me, it was like a thing like when I started like realizing about like my depression and all that kind of stuff. The thing that I can relate a little bit, when you say like everybody goes through that, right? I can
Hmm.
remember my realization of like, wait. What are you saying? You mean you don't wake up sad and hating the world and wishing that things weren't the way they were all the time? You mean like
Yeah.
you have the capacity to actually have a good what? Like
Like, tell me more of
I
this.
like yeah, because these are some things like you get so used to experiencing life in a certain way, and you're just like, well, everybody thinks like this, right? I
Hmm.
was just like, well, everybody reads Nietzsche in fifth grade and doesn't ever branch out to like more positive people. And it's just yeah, everybody's a nihilist and a jaded cynic from like an early age, right? Like that's just how it is,
That's just how we do, right? That's people.
yeah, and then it's like, "Oh, wait, no, you mean, like, some other people, like, read Camus or whatever, and it's not like or they didn't read anything like that at all, and they're just happy? What?
Wait, existence isn't just pain? Tell me
Wait,
more.
what is this? No, you have the aberrant thought. That's not my broken brain.
I've been
Life
thinking this
is
way for years.
life is
I'm not
meaningless
wrong.
suffering. You don't know what you're talking.
Life is shit. Learn to love this.
Yeah, so I definitely get that, like, the
Yeah.
idea of, like, not even knowing to ask somebody else because you're just like, "Yeah, no, this is just life. This is just how it is." And then
Yeah.
you find out that, nope, that's not a universal way of experiencing things, and then you're like, "Well, fuck.
Yeah. Well, looks
I
like
just wasted 20 years of my
yeah.
life."
Yeah. It's neat. Just we're just so tunnel visioned as and I guess it's not even fair to generalize that because there I am doing the exact same thing. Everyone's tunnel vision, right? Just it's funny. Yeah, potato.
Yeah. Living living is a unique experience, and I don't just mean unique to like individuals. I just mean it is odd. It is very strange, and it's wild to you
Yeah,
know to have these certain realizations, and people have them at all different ages, and you know like
yeah.
it's mad. It's just weird. you
It's
know
fucking crazy.
Um, but yeah, I think now is a good time. We'll head to a bit of a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about some other things. Maybe a little bit more art, maybe not, who knows? There's some other stuff that I think would be fun to talk about. But now for a word from our sponsor.
Whee!
Do you want to class up your gaming? Are you sick of card tables and cheap plastic sleeves for your character sheets? Do you like real wood and are convinced magnets are the only magic we have left in our current age of science? Then head over to legendcraft.ca to spruce up your tabletop gaming setup. They offer felt top gaming tables with add-ons like cup holders, tablet holders, dice trays, roll boxes, and more. Newly released in January 2021 is their Magna Tracker system. With versions for both health and spell tracking, these sleek and stylish tracking boards come with magnetized tracking pips that allow you to slide them back and forth along clean-cut channels, making tracking your health and spell slots easy to use and read, all without the constant erasing and writing on your character sheet. And did I mention that both the Magna trackers and the tables are customizable and personalizable? That's right. Your table and or Magna tracker will be one of a kind when you order at Legendcraft. Legendcraft is partnering with me to offer you a 5% discount on your orders at legendcraft.ca. That's right, you can get a 5% discount when you enter the code F_ART at checkout. That's F_art. Go to legendcraft.ca. That's LEGENDCRAFT.ca with discount code F_art for 5% off. Legendcraft.ca. Order today. If you like this podcast and would like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Folsham_art. With as little as $1 per month, you not only support Thought Balloons and get to submit questions to be answered by myself and the guest host, but you will also have access to my webcomic 3 to 4 weeks before they're released to the public and my weekly update blog. At higher tiers, you'll gain access to full issues and short story comics, and you can even see progress and add input to projects I'm working on. That's patreon.com/FOULSHAM_ART to support Thought Balloons today. And welcome back from the break. We are here with my friend Age. Before the break, we had talked about art and exploring things through art. I think art is not just something that happens from inside ourselves, but also from outside ourselves. Environment can also dictate things that we create. And I know you have a particular interest in the environment in which you are living,
Hmm.
especially living out there in California, along the fault lines. You've
Oh,
mentioned to me
yes.
many a times that you're interested in seismology. Is that the correct word? What is the science of earthquakes?
Geoscience. Essentially, I think it's seismology. Let me open up my window here. I got all sorts of confused. I moved a window and my brain tanked. Let's see.
We
Where
also
are you?
talked about that before the break.
That is true. I remember. Let's see. Open new tab, and we'll bring that over here. But yeah, I got into a once upon a friend got me interested in earthquake forecasting, and I started following this guy online who was going over models for how to somewhat forecast earthquakes and watch the progression as the seismic activity and energy moves across the planet, and as that's documented
Mm.
through various agencies like USGS and whatnot. And it's just neat. And then I'd never experienced an earthquake that I was aware of before until I moved out here, and where they had that 7.1 and 6.4 last year, or I think it was last year. That was here.
Was that pre-corona or during
That
corona?
was pre-Rona.
So probably 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I think it was 2019. And never experienced anything quite like I've experienced them since being in California, but never experienced something that made the the whole house move and not stop moving for a while. It was pretty wild. So I got really, really hooked on earthquake forecasting models and nerding out on that. Like I've always had a bit of a interest in paying attention to the stuff, because I think all the images that I've ever seen of a volcano on cartoons and in movies, they look freaking cool.
Oh
So I
yeah.
just got into it.
I think it's interesting. Like just like the kind of instruments that they use, like we've been measuring earthquakes for a very long time, and it's fun to see the kinds of things that get picked up on those sensors. Like there was a I keep hearing it. I think it was the SAR bomba that like the concussive blast like circled the earth multiple times or something like that. And there's been like volcanic eruptions that like the shock waves circle the earth multiple
Hmm.
times. And it's just, if it's hard to conceptualize to our small little primate brains, but like the earth big. Like
Earth big, man.
it is big.
Earth big and Earth scary.
Like to have things releasing the amount of energy that those things do, that can then like send vibrations circling the earth not once but multiple times, it's just
Oh yeah.
wild, it's insane. Like, I've only, like, living in Pennsylvania, I've experienced exactly one earthquake my whole life, and it was something that most of the people who were around me at the time, they were busy, they were doing other things, and they didn't even notice it. It
Hmm.
was something that just barely shook my chair, and I was like, I think we just had an earthquake. And everyone looked at me like, what are you talking about? Because they're like up and down, in and out of
Yeah.
chairs in the office, walking around. They didn't notice anything. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we did. And then, like, a couple days later on the news, it was like, experienced aftershock from an earthquake. And this was like back
Yeah.
in 2012, 2013, something like that. But like, yeah, it was just, I was like, aha, I was right. My fat ass sitting in this chair, not moving all day. My back
I
is too,
knew it.
my ass is sensitive to these things.
I've
I
been
felt the
training.
earth shake. Yeah, but
Well,
it's
yeah, it's
insane.
kind of like the like we were saying before with you don't think to like this is the normal, so you don't think to really ask if there's a difference
Right.
out that way because I am from out that way originally. Um, I've also like there's earthquakes that strike like the Great Lake area, Finger Lake area every
Mhm.
now and then, but it's not a new thing. Like they always happen. Um, the frequency isn't like they are here in California, and
Right.
there's a reason for that. Um, the plate, there's a reason with the plate why that area does get some earthquakes. And
Well, aren't
my
most mountain chains formed through
mhm.
plate movement and stuff? So, we live in near the Appalachians, so obviously, like, there's got
Oh
to be
yeah,
some
there's
sort of plate, something
d-
making those mountains.
definitely a fault system out there, but where you don't see them happening in great frequencies because like there isn't a major fault line going through the area. What's
Right.
going through the area is that's the inner craton. That's where the line of the inner craton of a plate meets the outer craton of the plate where it's a little bit softer. Um, so it's path like path of least resistance kind of thing, and in its energy motion across a plate. It's kind of like a liquid. It's going to choose path of least resistance, and going
Gotcha.
up. Sorry, I got a wheeze going on here. Going up towards. Sorry, I'm going to cough this. I'm going to cough for. I don't know if that helped. But you can even see this from just Google Maps if you like. You, um, I I need to put my maps on here.
Fair enough.
But you can see where the Earth kind of like does this swirl going through. I'm not great at U.S. states. My apologies. Let me put on the little thingy that tells
Well,
me
you should
what
be
states
better
are where.
because our
St.
country's the
Louis.
best.
I'm learning.
What your
Um,
Canadian education didn't teach you about our states?
those bastards.
I love you, Canada.
Me too. But like St. Louis going down south, you can see like swirls in from Google Maps, you see swirls in the geography there. That's the old soft edge of the plate mushing up against, ladies, the older hardened inner craton, as it's called. Sorry. But then you can literally follow a line of this. It kind of does an N zigzag going through Missouri and whatnot there, and then it goes back up and out towards New York. You can see this line going right across the maps, and that's why you guys do get pushes coming out. And then you've got mountain ranges all over the damn place there. So there's already been breaks in the plate in history, so they'll wiggle. They'll get a
Yeah.
little wiggle to them. I know I'm explaining this poorly, but it's really neat when someone explains it good.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything about it. Seismology wasn't really anything that I was ever like interested in. So
Mhm.
it's all super interesting to me because you're you're like talking to someone who it's like, wait, what? What's a number? What is this black magic that you're talking about? I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just neat stuff. Nerd stuff.
So so you say like you really got like interested in it when you moved out west. What is it like living in an area with just a lot of earthquakes?
Neat.
It's neat.
It's neat. I've I can't say that I've experienced very many of them that I've noticed. Um, but the ones that I have like they always scare the crap out of me. And it's it's a very insecure feeling when the ground just aggressively moves beneath you.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, I'm kind of one of those weirdos that has a massive love for fucked up weather and earth things. I
Fair.
I
Okay.
I love the shit. If it's destructive, I'm very curious about it, terrified of it, and respect it, but absolutely curious about it, and I want to see what it does. Shit's
I
neat.
think we all do to a certain extent, right?
Yeah,
I
our
mean,
little
how many
morbid
like
curiosity.
who yeah, I mean, who hasn't like driven past the scene of an accident and done a little rubbernecking, right? Like there is something
Exactly.
about just that kind of power or, carnage to a certain extent that is
Hmm.
like just more, you said morbid curiosity, right?
Yeah, we're a very curious species. Yeah.
Um eh, can you expound a little bit on your first experience with an earthquake? Like what was like the
Oh yeah,
first one that like
it was hilarious. That's what it was. um, we were Alan and I were sitting on a chat program that we frequented for years, and just shooting the shit with friends. And one of our friends down in LA, um, had we were just talking about bullshit. Like I don't even remember what we were talking about. But then you see her all of a sudden run. She jumps off of her computer and runs. And her boyfriend at the time was living in New York. Um, and the um, she got hit with this this earthquake, and he's like, oh yeah, that's what she does when they get an earthquake down there. Um, and I mic'd up because this was one of those chat rooms where you have to take turns to use a microphone. I mic'd up, and like, wow, that's really interesting. We've been here for some time now, and I've never ever experienced an earthquake. At that point, that earthquake that hit her had just reached us. Um, and it was so freaking hilarious because it's literally, hello, foot, nom, 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 nom.
Right.
Um, it was so strange because it felt like a gust of wind went through the house and you felt it was a rolling earthquake. And you just felt the ground and the house roll. And both Alan and I were side by side. This was at a time when both of our computers were in the same room. And it was just the two of us just freaked out because we weren't expecting that at all. And I happened to be talking about my friend Ange bolting out the door. And that was like only like a 3.4 or something like that. And it was so just so weird that it happened while I was miking up and talking about her experience.
So as someone who like I said, I don't really have any experience with earthquakes. You say a rolling earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it's not as cartoony as it is in my head, but when you say a rolling earthquake, it seems, and like talking about a gust of wind coming through the house or whatever, like in my brain, I'm getting this sort of like you're on, like doing the wave at a like concert or a sporting event where like Alan like rises up into the air and then you right like
Yep,
as this earthquake
it is
like
that cartoony.
it really like
It
really.
seriously, it's
So you
very.
actually saw like a height
I don't know.
elevation
I don't
change
know if I
between the two of you?
saw a height elevation, but I could. I'm sitting at a computer, staring at that, having a conversation like we are now. So my attention was staring at a computer
Right.
screen. So I wasn't looking at anything to necessarily see the roll, but you could hear it in the house.
Whoa.
And you could feel it on the ground because it wasn't just one pass. It was felt like we had two.
Right.
But you could feel which direction it went.
Oh, that's
It
weird.
was the craziest thing. It went from my left side. Well, both of us, we were sitting beside each other, from left to right for the way we were sitting, and it was so fucking strange because I never knew there was a difference. There's people will classify them as a roller or a shaker.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the one that I had experienced was a shaker. It just felt like a
Mm-hmm.
rumbling, like a
Yeah,
vibration or something like that. Wow. So yeah, that's really cool.
it's
Also
really
kind of
neat.
scary, but also really cool.
Yes, like the
But
big
that's
ones that
not
we
like a
had
thing.
in the big ones we had in 19. I think it might have. I'm not 100% sure about this, but it may have something to do with how close we were to it that we felt more of the shaking. There was also so like that area. This is the Ridgecrest earthquakes. That area is still seeing a lot of regular seismic activity now because of that.
Mhm.
Um, so that whole area woke back up, and still, even today, we have 2.6.
Jesus.
We've got, let's see,
Like actually today, today, like as of recording this, there was an earthquake.
I'm looking at this right now. As of today, there are several because this is an
Whoa,
area that now swarms. Um, so yeah, there's
that's
multiple
wild.
earthquakes. The area is regular, and but not all earthquakes you're going to feel.
Right.
Um, but the whole it's such an interesting science. It really is. But the area that got hit is still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for today.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
That makes me wonder then how many imperceivable earthquakes have gone on where I live and I just don't know about them.
Yeah, and your area, you'd get a lot of them where they're that small. Because like all these ones are like 1 point magnitudes and lower.
Mhm.
Um, in today's going ons there. I'm looking up on the map now, and it's telling me if I with my little excuse me with my I'm a classy lady with
I'm
my
see,
forecasting.
and now I got to keep that into the edit.
Yeah. Ha but look, if like with the whole forecasting thing, I look back around to see what's coming our way, and there's 5-point energy coming our way. So some point within the week, we should be seeing 4.0 activity somewhere around Alaska and California, somewhere between there.
Wild.
It's really fascinating. And then going out your way, because that area um, doesn't get a lot, but it is absolutely probable to get some. You're probably going to see later in the week something about a 1.0, not too far from, not necessarily too far from you. Maybe like, I don't know the states again here, so let me turn a different filter on.
Fair.
Um, yeah, probably like somewhere just below you in like Virginia or something like that.
Hmm. Oh,
But it's neat.
it's crazy.
I'm gonna watch it all week now. I'm gonna be like, it happened, or I won't mention it.
Did you feel it? Did you feel
Did you?
it?
I'll see myself out.
No, I mean it's just something like I just don't even because it's one of those things you just living in PA you don't really think about it, and so
Mhm,
it's really weird to me to think about like a roller and as you say to use
mhm.
your terminology um to like literally feel like to a shift in earth that you can detect from one side of your body to the next,
Mhm.
possibly the idea of even seeing like a person on the other side of the room go up into the air before you, like that's just what
It's
how does
I
the
would
earth do this?
rocks are interesting, and it's all really neat. Um, I would love to see, or I, knock on wood, careful what you wish for. Um, if the next time I experience a rolling earthquake, I would really hope I were outside, because I'm curious to see how much you can actually just across a landscape see that happening.
Hmm.
Because there's so like
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Oh really, yeah, it's just so I would say it's alien, but like, fundamentally is not alien.
Yeah.
But it seems like it to someone like me who, I live in a relatively, I don't want to say relatively stable, but relatively undetectable area. Like
Mhm.
it is just so alien to me, just like to think that this is stuff that happens on a regular basis
Yeah,
across the world. It's so weird. It's so weird.
it really is. Nature crazy.
Right? Man. Um
I love
I
it.
wonder if you could do like I wonder if you could like set up some sort of automated brush system or something so that you could paint earthquakes.
Oh, that'd be fun. There's got to be a hippie somewhere out there doing this. They better be. I will be disappointed if no one's doing that. I can be that hippie. Damn it.
Right?
That would be really freaking cool.
It reminds me of like a story that uh I don't know if I've told you this story before, but I think I may have. I think I may have. Um I'm not going to tell the whole story. I'll just tell the pertinent part. But there was this I took a girl to a concert or like a show at a coffee shop, and the venue or like the whole thing was that there was a painter playing to like painting to music, and I was like really disappointed in that show because it was not at all what I expected. Like I was thinking like, oh cool, they're gonna like paint a painting inspired by the music or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just turned out that they had already like pre-prepared canvases with like drawings and stuff, and they were just painting while the other person was playing music.
Yeah,
And
that's
I was
lazy.
like, yeah, it's like whatever, right? But to have like artwork like be the product of an earthquake would be wild.
Super cool. That would
It
be
would be
super cool.
wild.
Completely agree.
I think you should do it.
Gonna pay attention to the forecasting model, then I'll be sitting there waiting.
Just got your brush, and as soon as you feel it, you just hold the brush to the canvas and be like, "Ah,
All right, Earth. Let's have it.
we did it!"
Have at you. Making arts with Earth. Just hanging out with the Earth, making arts. That's what we gotta do.
But yeah, that would be cool. Or even like to be able to like, I guess putting a needle on a ticker tape is we already do that, but it's not very artistic. But like I don't know, even like an automated system that just detects the vibrations and stuff and puts out an image or something would be kind of neat.
That would be fucking. Oh, that'd be dope. Or like certain frequencies, certain frequencies and certain, um, I don't know, certain parameters signal different colors or something like that, or different changing an
Mm.
angle on a brush, or it'd be so cool.
Oh yeah, I wonder if see, and this is something I'm like totally stupid about, but like now I'm thinking like, what about instead of physical, like you could write maybe algorithms or something to like produce computer generated images based on the data that comes through when you say like certain frequencies equaling colors or angles of brushes and things.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That'd be
that could
neat.
just be something where you just like fucking type up a thing and then just let it do its thing.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Man,
Art
why
and
don't
science.
I
Art and
know
science.
why don't I know coding?
Me too. I
Well,
guess there's a lot of education out there for coding now. A lot of
yeah,
free
but
education for it. Yeah, me too.
my brain doesn't do numbers and things.
Yeah,
I
math
don't
makes me itchy.
yeah. I remember there was a thing in my town called Summer Happenings. I don't know if that is a thing that anyone would really know about, but it was a youth program in the summer, like little courses and classes, kind of
Hmm.
like a day camp kind of thing. And
Right
I
on.
can remember that there was like a I took a course in which you get to like make your own video game, and
Oh, neat.
a lot of the coding that you did there was I don't really consider it coding because you were using a program and then you were just putting in inputs like if I push this key, then this happens, right?
Hmm.
A lot of if then stuff. And I know that's like a big part of coding, but like when you're not doing it, in like I don't know, it just didn't feel like coding to me because I wasn't typing if this then that, right? It was all just like
Hmm.
in a program. And it was just like, oh, when I hit the up arrow, I want you to move 1 unit upwards,
Hmm.
kind of thing. If I hit spacebar, I want, you know, to fire the laser beam or whatever. If laser beam hits entity, entity is destroyed, right?
Right.
That kind of thing. But it's not like I don't know. Something about it seems not like real coding if you're not like seeing the black screen with like the white or green text on it and like you know are you a tab or space is kind of like getting into all that nerdy bullshit. It's just
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. They like, well, I can imagine a little bit. I've watched Alan go through a refresher on coding, and just watching him write these lines of code, it's just like, wow, I'm dyslexic with English.
yeah.
This is fancy people English that for like, holy crap. That I just felt my own brain just going, no, don't even think of, no, no.
Those
It
are
walked
very
out on me.
strange. Those are really strange moments when you can literally feel your brain rejecting what is
Ye-
going on in front of you.
yes.
Brain's
Brain
just
just was
having a
like, nah,
nope. Nope. Not gonna do that.
cannot compute.
Just
Go go smoke pot. Bye bye now.
brain is overheat. Brain must shut down.
Oh goodness. Yeah, the oh gosh, I could never get through coding without a lot of help.
Yeah. It's tough. Like I don't like I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like there have been times when I was like, ah, maybe I'll get a Raspberry Pi and like fiddle around with
Mhm.
something, but fuck that. Also, who has the time? Like I'm too busy. I got too much shit to do with my life.
There you go.
Like
I
and
mean, if
stuff that I like kind of understand, you know.
yeah, but
Uh,
that can be a good pastime if you get find yourself in that mindset of, you know what, I feel like hating myself a little bit by the end of this day. Let me go try. Let me go learn coding.
I've been too happy. Let
I
me
need to take
correct
myself down a
this.
peg.
Right. Oh man, it has been a absolute joy to talk to you. We are,
Likewise.
I think, coming to a good spot to end this conversation here for the recording part. Anyway, um, is there anything, any last thoughts, or any other subjects that you kind of want to talk about before we end here?
I don't think I really have anything that I can think of right now because there's this whole thing for me today of being garbage brained.
Fair, fair. All
um,
right.
you know, I thank you for having me, I guess is what I'd like to add. That sounds like a good thing to share. Now this is yeah, this has been great. I just like started waking up too.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
right.
I did another interview before this, but I didn't I have not been awake for very long either.
Yeah,
Um but you are on places on the internet.
I am.
Let the listeners know where they can find you. Um just an update for anyone who's listening to this not on YouTube but wants to see the painting called Tina that we talked about in the first half. I do have a picture of it, so I will be putting that picture up as part of the visual on the YouTube side, so we can see at least one example of Age's artwork.
Ooh.
Yeah, let them know where they can find you and experience more of your wonderful artwork and personality.
For long-lasting effects of disappointment, you guys can all find me under the name Awesome Age on Twitch. I am starting some other sites, but they're not set up yet, so I'm not going to advertise that, which I don't have at the moment.
Sure.
Um, but right now, we've been doing some games and some art sessions on the Twitch, and I don't know. Maybe one day I'll maybe one day I'll put a schedule up. I wrote one out and then I stared at it.
I mean, that's first steps, right?
Yeah, baby steps. But for the most part, that's pretty much best place to find me and my mayhem.
Fair enough. I do believe that is awesome underscore age over at twitch.tv.
Correct.
Of course, in places where links are available, there will be links available, especially in the YouTube description. Um, yeah, awesome underscore age all across the internet. I'm just gonna say that. Find her in
Yeah,
all the
there you go.
places. That way, people who find this in like months from now, when you are on other websites doing other
Yeah,
things, perhaps they'll be able to find you there as
there you
well.
go.
Yeah, age, wonderful conversation. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank
And
you.
to all of our listeners, we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.